As soon as countries were able to mass-produce chemical weapons, society immediately tries to ban them. In 1874, there was an attempt to ban the use of gas at Brussels Convention on the Rules of War. In 1899, there was an attempt to ban the projectiles, but later failed. According to the Geneva Protocol, created in 1925, all chemical warfare is prohibited. It is widely known as an international law. This protects everyone who lives in those nations that signed the protocol. However, the Geneva Protocol let other countries stock up on chemical weapons and let countries that agreed attack the ones that never agreed.
Probably the most feared weapon used in World War I, the gas had a major effect on the soldiers, not only physically, but also mentally. The use of the poison gas opened up a new front in World War I. For the very first time in warfare, the soldiers were not required to hold up a gun or soldier-to-soldier contact. It also opened up a new moral front to many. Since it was not a direct strike weapon, it caused many unneeded deaths and injuries. The burnt skin, the blindness, and the vomiting were constraint reminders of the terrifying weapon. The use of it deeply affected society, and it was condemned by the general opinion of the civilized world.
There was also a gas fright in America, along with many being exposed to chemicals in factories. Germany had many scientists work hard at trying to find new possibilities for chemical warfare. Winston Churchill states that he supports the use of chemical warfare.
It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long way to Tipperary.
With the vast opportunities with the new weapon, many people saw such power in it. New way of using the poison, such as dropping it from planes and attaching it to tanks, made some men very rich and powerful. While some men lie face down on the mud, not to ever see their families again, others lie in comforting beds, sitting on the money that they have produced from the gases.
The chemicals also called for high amounts of mustard gas, chlorine, and phosgene, stimulating chemical selling companies.
1999 Hague Convention that said you cannot use a shell that the sole purpose was to disseminate a toxic gas. So to get around that agreement, they mixed a high explosive with a chemical agent.
Early on, both sides attempted to lace grenades with non-lethal harassing agents, like tear gas.
I guess the wind was too high. The Germans then used it against the Russians. It was too cold, the tear gas froze.
After these false steps, the German military intensified its efforts, developing lethal gas for use in mortar shells. It was aided by a chemist named Fritz Haber. Haber was a leading scientist and academic whose work in chemistry was world-renowned. A deeply patriotic Prussian, he pioneered the use of chlorine and later phosgene as a weapon.
The first attack was very psychologically effective in that the average French soldier did not know what to expect and saw this cloud coming towards them. At first they thought maybe the German trenches were on fire and there was just smoke. But once they smelled it and got gassed by it and got affected by it, the word spread very quickly.
Terrified soldiers fled to escape the sinister yellow cloud as it floated toward their position. The gas may have cost the British as many as 5,000 lives. But the Germans did not capitalize on their success because they failed to follow up on the attack. The Allies ultimately blocked their advance and pushed them back. Shortly after Ypres, both sides began hurling chemical agents at each other. It was a chemical arms race as each side attempted to develop more effective weapons. But launching enough poison to create a cloud sufficient to saturate the air to lethal levels was a technological challenge. 75 and 155 millimeter artillery shells were long range and carried a lot of agent into the trenches, but it could take hundreds of shells to create a cloud. Once again, chemist Fritz Haber offered his expertise.
Fritz Haber decided that one way was to simply use the chlorine in a chemical cylinder.
Attackers could launch 20 to 50 times more gas in the cylinder than they could inside the much smaller shell, which also had explosives taking up space inside it.
Gas mask we had was a piece of square chamois cloth soaked in this chemical, and it was in a rubber-lined bag with a zipper on it, and when you run into that, you just hang it over your nose.
Ammonia and other chemicals in the cloth neutralized the acid passing through. Within a short time, however, defense technology improved, providing soldiers with masks that included charcoal filters, carried on the back, that neutralized the poison. Protect against so-called mustard gas, which wasn't a gas at all, but a sticky, persistent liquid.